The silent watchers, the void of space erupted in brilliant flashes as 85 massive warships materialized at the edge of the solar system. The Zephyrian conquest armada had arrived, their obsidian hulls gleaming like predatory sharks in the starlight. Each vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers in length, bristling with weapons that had reduced entire civilizations to cosmic dust. Admiral Vextar stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, his 6 arms folded behind his crystalline exoskeleton. His compound eyes reflected the tactical displays, showing the primitive solar system spread before them. The third planet from the star glowed blue and green, rich with life and resources that would soon belong to the Zephyrian Empire. "Status report," Vextar commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 37 worlds without a single defeat. Commander Zeke Thorne approached, his claws clicking against the metal deck. "Long-range scans confirm. Our intelligence, Admiral. The humans have achieved basic spaceflight, but nothing more. We detect crude satellites, a small lunar outpost, and some mining operations in the asteroid belt. No signs of military vessels or defensive networks worthy of concern." Vextar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Another easy conquest for the Empire. The Zephyrians had perfected the art of planetary subjugation over millennia. Their strategy was simple and devastatingly effective. Approach silently, strike without warning, overwhelm with superior technology, and harvest the survivors for the slave markets. "Maintain stealth protocols," Vextar ordered. "Begin standard approach pattern. All ships are to remain undetected until we reach optimal strike range." The Armada began its journey toward Earth, their advanced cloaking technology rendering them invisible to primitive sensors. To any watching eyes, they would appear as nothing more than space debris drifting through the cosmic void. The Zephyrians had used this same tactic to surprise countless civilizations, and none had ever detected their approach until it was far too late. What Admiral Vextar didn't know was that every movement of his fleet was being tracked with perfect precision. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in chambers carved from solid rock and shielded from all forms of detection, hundreds of humans monitored screens filled with data about the approaching Armada. General Patricia Morrison stood in the command center of Luna Station Omega, her weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. At 55, she had spent the last 8 years of her life preparing for this exact moment. Her gray eyes fixed on the formation of red dots representing the alien fleet, each one a potential extinction event for her species. How long since they dropped out of hyperspace? She asked her intelligence officer. 4 hours, General, Lieutenant. Colonel James Park replied, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Our deep space sensor network picked them up the moment they arrived. Computer analysis confirms these are the same ship designs we studied from the wreckage we recovered 8 years ago. Morrison nodded grimly. 8 years ago, a damaged alien probe had crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The technology they recovered from that single vessel had changed everything. It proved that Earth was not alone in the universe, and that something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined was coming for them. The wreckage had contained star charts, weapons specifications, and most importantly, records of conquered worlds. The data painted a terrifying picture of a galactic empire that viewed younger species as nothing more than resources to be harvested. Earth was marked as target classification, primitive agriculture world, scheduled for harvest within a decade. Discovery had triggered the most massive secret military buildup in human history. Every major nation on Earth had contributed resources to Project Nightfall, the classified program designed to defend humanity from the coming invasion. Hidden. Factories had worked around the clock to build weapons that shouldn't have existed. Mining operations in the asteroid belt had been converted into weapon platforms. Space stations had been secretly armed with enough firepower to crack moons. Signal strength of their communications? Morrison asked. Complete radio silence, General. They think they're being sneaky, but our gravitational wave detectors are tracking every ship in their formation. We know exactly where they are, where they're going, and what they're planning to do when they get there. Morrison turned to address the room full of officers and technicians. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've been training for. Send the alert to all defense stations. Operation Mousetrap is now active. Across the solar system, messages flashed between hidden installations. On Earth, massive doors opened in mountainsides to reveal weapon emplacements that had been built in absolute secrecy. In the asteroid belt, mining ships that looked innocent began powering up military systems hidden within their hulls. On Mars, what appeared to be atmospheric processing stations revealed their true nature as orbital defense platforms. The aliens continued their approach, confident in their stealth and superiority. They had conquered 37 worlds using identical tactics. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, and their technology more advanced than anything these primitive humans could possibly possess. Admiral Vextar reviewed the final attack plans in his private quarters. The orbital bombardment would begin with the destruction of major population centers. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo would all be reduced to radioactive craters within the first hour. Then his ground forces would land to secure the survivors and strip the planet of anything valuable. Another easy victory, he said to himself as he sealed the orders in an encrypted data chip. These humans will never know what hit them. But in the cold depths of space, human sensors continued their silent watch. Every alien ship was tracked, targeted, and marked for destruction. Weapon systems that should not have existed on a primitive world powered up in the darkness. Their energy signatures masked by advanced stealth. Technology reverse-engineered from the crashed probe. 3 weeks into their approach, the Zephyrian fleet was halfway between Jupiter and Mars when the first signs of trouble appeared. Commander, Zekthorn was monitoring the sensor displays when he noticed unusual readings from what they had classified as mining vessels in the asteroid belt. Admiral, he called out, his voice tight with concern. The mining ships in the asteroid belt are moving. Their engine signatures are much stronger than they should be for civilian vessels. Vextar frowned and moved to the sensor station. On the screen, dozens of ships that had appeared to be simple mining craft were now racing toward them at impossible speeds. As he watched, the vessels began to transform. Panels slid away to reveal hidden weapon batteries. Fake cargo holds opened to show missile launchers. Those are not mining ships, Vextar said slowly, his confidence beginning to crack. Those are warships. Before anyone could respond, the space around Mars itself began to transform. What had looked like simple atmospheric processors and communication relays suddenly unfolded like deadly flowers. Massive gun barrels extended from hidden compartments. Missile pods deployed from structures that had seemed too small to hold them. Battle stations. Vextar shouted. All ships evasive maneuvers. We are under attack, but it was already too late. The humans had planned this ambush with mathematical precision. From every direction, weapons fire erupted toward the alien fleet. Railgun slugs moving at significant fractions of light speed, smashed into Zephyrian ships before they could raise their shields. Missiles with advanced AI guidance systems swarmed around the alien vessels like angry hornets. Captain Sarah Chun commanded one of the disguised frigates that had been hiding in the asteroid belt. Her ship, the Terran Vengeance, had spent 3 years pretending to be a mining vessel while its crew prepared for this moment. At 38, she was the youngest ship captain in the defense fleet, but her tactical brilliance had earned her command of one of humanity's most advanced warships. Target the command ship, she ordered her weapons officer. Hit their bridge section with everything we have. The Terran Vengeance's main railgun spoke with the voice of thunder. 3 tungsten slugs, each weighing as much as a small car and moving at 12% of light speed, streaked toward the alien flagship. The first slug punched through the ship's shields as if they were made of tissue paper. A second and third shots tore massive holes in the vessel's hull. Admiral Vextar watched in horror as his fleet was systematically torn apart around him. Ship after ship exploded in brilliant flashes of light and debris. The humans fought with a coordination and skill that should have been impossible for such a primitive species. "How are they doing this?" he demanded, grabbing a support rail as another impact rocked his flagship. "Their technology should be centuries behind ours." Commander Zekthorn looked up from his damaged console, green blood running down his face from a head wound. "Admiral, they're using our own weapons against us. Those energy signatures, those missile designs, they're based on Zephyrian technology." The terrible truth began to dawn on Vextar. The humans had somehow gained access to their technology. They had used it to prepare for this attack. Everything the Zephyrians thought they knew about this species was wrong. The hunt becomes the hunted. The battle that would later be known as the Mars ambush raged for 6 brutal hours, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. The human strategy was devastating in its simplicity and execution. They had turned the entire inner solar system into a carefully orchestrated trap, with every asteroid, every satellite, every seemingly innocent space installation serving as a weapon platform. Captain Sarah Chun watched from the bridge of the Terran Vengeance as her tactical display showed the systematic destruction of the alien fleet. Red dots representing enemy ships blinked out one by one, replaced by the scattered debris of what had once been mighty warships. Her crew worked with mechanical precision, their years of training and preparation paying off in the most important battle of human history. "Weapons report," she called out to her gunnery officer. "Railgun capacitors at 70%, Captain. Missile bays 6 through 12 are empty, but we still have full loads in the forward tubes. Point defense systems are green across the board." Chun nodded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. The aliens were trying to regroup, but human forces had them surrounded on all sides. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The hunters had become the hunted. Admiral Vextar stood amid the chaos of his burning bridge, watching his life's work crumble around him. Sparks flew from damaged control panels as emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the command deck. Half his fleet was gone, reduced to expanding clouds of superheated plasma and twisted metal. The remaining ships were fighting desperately, but they were outnumbered and outgunned by an enemy that should not have existed. "All ships, execute emergency jump procedures," he commanded, his voice carrying across the fleet's communication channels. "Retreat to Rally Point 7. We must warn the Empire about this threat." But even as he gave the order, Vextar knew it was hopeless. The human forces had positioned themselves perfectly to cut off any escape routes. Advanced interdiction fields prevented his ships from entering hyperspace, while swarms of human fighters harassed any vessel that tried to break away from the main engagement. Commander Zeke Thorne limped across the bridge, his exoskeleton cracked and leaking vital fluids. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the human forces. They're demanding our surrender." Vextar's compound eyes fixed on the main display screen, where the image of a human female appeared. She was small compared to a Zephyrian warrior, but her eyes held a hardness that made the alien admiral step back instinctively. "I am General Patricia Morrison of the Earth Defense Forces," the human said through a translation device. "Your fleet is surrounded and your escape routes are blocked. Surrender now, and we will treat your surviving crew according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and we will show you the same mercy you have shown to 37 other worlds." The weight of those words hit Vextar like a physical blow. Somehow, These humans knew about the Empire's previous conquests. They had studied Zephyrian tactics, learned from captured technology, and turned that knowledge into the trap that was now closing around his fleet. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Vextar faced a choice he had never expected to make: surrender to a species his empire considered primitive, or die fighting a battle he could not win. "Signal all remaining ships," he said quietly, his voice barely audible over the sounds of his dying flagship. "Cease fire and prepare to be boarded." The surrender of the Zephyrian fleet sent shockwaves through human command structures across the solar system. In the span of 6 hours, humanity had gone from potential extinction to capturing the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. The implications were staggering. 6 months after the battle, the captured Zephyrian vessels floated in Earth's orbital shipyards, like giant metal whales being dissected by teams of human engineers. Dr. Elena Vasquez wiped sweat from her forehead as she emerged from the engine room of the former flagship, now renamed the New Horizon. Her team had been working around the clock to understand the alien faster-than-light drive technology. "Any progress with the hyperspace generator?" asked Colonel Michael Torres, the military liaison assigned to oversee the reverse engineering project. "We've made incredible breakthroughs," Elena replied, exhaustion evident in her voice. "The basic principles are similar to our theoretical models, but their execution is centuries ahead of ours. Give us another month, and we should have a working prototype." Torres nodded grimly. "Make it 3 weeks. Intelligence suggests the Zephyrian Empire will notice their missing fleet soon. We need to be ready to take the fight to them before they send reinforcements." In the medical bay of Luna Station Omega, Admiral Vegstar sat in a specially designed chair while human interrogators questioned him. The alien had been cooperative once he realized the hopelessness of his situation. His pride was broken, and he seemed almost eager to share information about his former empire. "Tell us about the staging areas," demanded Agent Rebecca Foster, the lead interrogator. "Where does your empire prepare its conquest fleets?" Vegstar looked at the human woman with what might have been respect in his alien eyes. "The nearest forward base is at Kepler 442b, 3 systems away from here. They maintain 200 ships there at all times, ready for rapid deployment to new targets." Foster leaned forward in her chair. "How long before they expect your fleet to report back?" "Standard conquest operations take 6 months," Vegstar replied. "When we fail to report, they will investigate. The Empire does not tolerate failure, and they will assume we encountered unexpected resistance. What kind of response can we expect?" The aliens' mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was equivalent to bitter laughter. "They will send the Death Fleet. 500 ships, all equipped with planet-killing weapons. Your species showed remarkable ingenuity in defeating my armada, but you cannot stand against the full might of the Empire." Foster exchanged glances with the other interrogators. The captured aliens' words confirmed their worst fears. The victory at Mars had bought them time, but it had also painted a target on Earth that would be visible across the galaxy. General Morrison stood before the assembled leaders of Project Nightfall in a secure briefing room deep beneath the lunar surface. Representatives from every major nation on Earth, along with the military commanders who had planned the Mars victory, filled the chamber with tense anticipation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Morrison began, her voice carrying the weight of their species' future, "our victory has given us access to technology beyond our wildest dreams. But it has also started a war that we cannot afford to lose. The Zephyrian Empire will respond to our attack with overwhelming force." She activated a holographic display showing star charts recovered from the captured vessels. "We have approximately 5 months before their reinforcements arrive. In that time, we must accomplish the impossible. We must transform from a defensive species into an offensive force capable of striking the Empire before they can organize a response. Captain Shun, recently promoted to Admiral after her actions at Mars, stood to address the assembly. The captured ships have given us a detailed map of Zephyrian space, including the locations of their forward bases and supply lines. We have the element of surprise, advanced human ingenuity, and most importantly, we have something the Empire has never faced before, a species that refuses to be conquered. The room erupted in discussions as the implications of her words sank in. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of every species threatened by the Zephyrian Empire. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward, carrying a datapad filled with technical specifications. The hyperspace drives are operational. We've successfully integrated human AI systems with alien propulsion technology. Our new ships will be faster, more maneuverable, and more heavily armed than anything the Zephyrians have ever encountered. General Morrison raised her hand for silence. The Empire believes they are dealing with a primitive species that got lucky. They expect us to cower behind our defenses and wait for their response. Instead, we're going to take the fight to them. Operation Prometheus is approved. We launch our first strike against their forward base in 8 weeks. As the meeting dispersed, Admiral Chun remained behind, studying the star charts with a mixture of determination and concern. The path ahead would be dangerous, but humanity had already proven that the impossible was merely another word for difficult. The Zephyrian Empire had come to harvest a primitive world. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that would reshape the balance of power across the galaxy. The age of human expansion into the stars was about to begin, and it would be written in the wreckage of those who had underestimated the resilience of Earth's children. The hunt had indeed become the hunted, and humanity was very good at hunting.